Hey, this is Brian. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. Today, we are working on this amazing BMW 340, and what we're going to be doing is we are going to be installing a rear diffuser from Pro Auto Motion. And when we did this installation on my 335, we were able to just pull the old diffuser off and put the new one on. The problem with some of the new cars is they have heat shielding right behind the bumper, so you can't get your hand up to push the other side of the bumper to make sure that the clips all snap in. So today, we're going to show you how to put a diffuser on. But to do this, we're going to remove the rear bumper, show you how to install it, and then show you how to reinstall the bumper. All right, for the first part of the process, we will be underneath the car. You can see that there are 4 of these 8mm screws right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then across the bottom of the diffuser, there are 3 T20s. So there's 1 here, there's 1 in the middle, and then there's 1 by the other exhaust pipe. And then on the other side of the car, you can see we have 4 additional 8mm screws. Now this is something you can normally do without jacking the vehicle up, but if you feel more comfortable, have more space to jack it up, feel free to do so. Just make sure you have your jack stands properly set up and you test the vehicle to make sure it's extra secure. All right, at this time, let's remove all of those 8mm and the T20s. Okay, so at this point we have all of our 8mm and our T20 bolts in our little magnetic tray. If you don't use one of these, we really recommend it because it makes sure that you keep all of your bolts and you don't run anything over. All right, as we mentioned, we will be removing the bumper, which means this is going to be coming off and it has to come back on, as you'd imagine as well. One of the things that we like to do is we like to put some painter's tape, so that way, especially if you're doing this by yourself, if you don't have it lined up absolutely perfect and say the end of the bumper hits, it won't scratch the paint, it'll just bounce off of the painter's tape. So this is an optional step, but we highly recommend doing this. All right, for this next part of the process, we need to take 2 8mm bolts out of the side of the wheel arch here, and then right up here, there is a T20. So if you've ever taken the front bumper off, you'll know that it's held on by 8mm bolts in the back. For whatever reason, they use a T20. So at this time, let's remove the 8mm bolts, and then we'll remove that T20. All right, just for reference, if you look down here where my light beam is, that is bolt number 1, it's an 8mm. Go up here, that's bolt number 2, again, this innermost one, and then all the way up here, try to get a shadow line up there, right where the shadow line ends, that is where your T20 is. So hopefully that gives you an idea of where these bolts are. Typically you can leave your wheels on, unless you have some really large wheels. What you may notice right here is there's a pretty big gap. What we do sometimes is we'll just jack it up ever so slightly. This is probably about 4 inches or so that we jacked it up, just to give us a little more space. And then once we're done with this wheel, we lower the car back down. But normally, wheels don't have to come off or anything. All right, there's screw number 1. And when you put them in your magnetic bucket, you'll be able to tell them apart because one is pretty short and one's pretty long. Here's bolt number 2. Then again, for our last bolt, it is a T20. I like to use these. These are from Irwin. You can get these on Amazon, but the one side here is a T25, and this side is a T20. I also have them in 10 and 15, so it's pretty cool because they're very convenient. All right, and when you take the T20 off, you'll notice that it is exactly the same as your other ones, so if you mix them up, no worries. Once you remove the lower bolts and then the side ones, what you can do is just very carefully start to pop the bumper out. You're going to notice it's going to pop straight out. There's a bunch of clips that hold it in place. So just very carefully do that. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to the other side and prep it just like this. All right, all of my screws are out on this side, so just like we did on the other side, very gently, very carefully, start to pop these out. Now when you're doing this, you'll be able to see about 4 clips. There's 1 here, 2, 3, and the other one's popped, but it's just still a little bit in the car. Next, there are some hidden screws that we need to get to under here. So you will need a flathead screwdriver to do this, but there are these little clips right here. We're going to twist these out, pull the cover off, and I'll show you where those bolts are. These are just plastic, so basically all you need to do is just very slowly, very carefully unscrew these, and they look just like that. Once you've done that, just get this piece, just pull it up. All right, we can do that exact same thing on the other side here. You just get this, pulls up and out. So right here you can see the 10mm bolt that is holding the bumper on. Now, there's also some clips under the tail light. So what I like to do, and as you can see, it's only 2 10mm bolts. I like to take these bolts out and pull the tail light out, unclip it, and set it out of the way. Now, some people will just force the bumper. It's a lot riskier, so what I like to do is just take it safe, take the extra 5 minutes, and hey, if you're looking to change your taillights, it's the perfect time. So once again, there's a bolt up here and one down here. And they're both 10 millimeter. So just take these nuts off. We'll add that to our collection. Take this one off. And we'll take that off. All right, so now that those two nuts are removed, we can remove the taillight. So basically, it's just the two bolts that hold it in right here. So since we took the nuts off, there's nothing holding it in. And then there's a little plastic fastener in the back. So what you want to do is just try to grab around this plastic, be very careful, and it'll slide out for you. Once you have it here, you can unclip the cable, then just press in this little pin, and you can just remove the plug and remove the taillight. Here's what it looks like without the taillight. You can see that there's a bolt, and then there's just this rubber grommet that this little ball on the headlight slides into. All right, here you can see that there are two additional clips, and what you do with these is you press them down, and then you can work them out. The more you slide the bumper off, the easier it is to get the clips off. And all you really need to do is get it so where the lip of the clip actually clears the plastic. So for right now, we are okay with that. You can see as I pull it in, that it goes in. We're going to do the same with the other side, and then we'll remove the 10 millimeters. Okay. All right, at this point, our bumper is only held in by these two 10 millimeter bolts. So let's very carefully start to remove them. Now, once you get to this point, it's a very good idea to have some kind of blanket or something very soft on the ground that you can temporarily put your bumper on. Now, especially if you're doing this with one person, because as you can see, this car has PDC. So basically what that means is there is a sensor that we're going to have to disconnect once we pull the bumper off. So we're going to need to park it here for a second, and then we'll put it over to our bumper station. How are you?
Do video?
Yep.
How to fix your car.
That's it. Thanks. I wonder if that guy's a subscriber. Now, something that's very unique about these screws is they're like half bolt because they're a 10 millimeter, but on the bottom they thread into plastic. So it's like a screw with a bolt head, so pretty interesting. Once you take these out, what I would do until you get the other one out, just hand twist it in a thread or two, just to make sure that if something happens over there and this side falls off, that you don't scrape anything. All right, once you start to loosen this, you're going to feel how loose the bumper really is. So just get it to a point, undo it by hand, put those in our little magnetic tray. Then at this point, make sure that everything is fully unclipped from this side, and then fully unclipped from this side. Now what we can do is we can just grab one side very slowly, start to pull it out. You can see that that was just held in just ever so slightly by that clip. So we'll do that to that side. Pop that side out. And if you haven't caught on by now, I have some very comfortable knee pads on. They come in extremely handy with this. Now, probably one of the most difficult things to do is at this stage, we have to remove the parking distance control sensors. So just very carefully, go through one at a time and disconnect all of those. There's two. Again, this is where that very soft blanket comes in, because what you can do is you can lay one corner down while you're taking the rest of it off. All right, the whole bumper is off. All right, here we are at our bumper station. So the stock diffuser, just like the diffuser that we're going to be putting on, is held in by these various plastic clips. Now, to get these out, you can see that even on the stock OEM BMW one, the end ones don't even really hold all that well. Basically what you do is you just press on these clips, and then you press it down just like that. So once again, you press on this tab, you pull it down, you separate it, you just keep going. Okay, so same thing, just work your way all the way across. You can see that as you pull it, some of them are just gonna pull out anyway. And again, on the BMW ones, the end ones aren't even really holding anything in. Now, if any of the clips are getting stuck at all, you can see that there are these 3 red tabs right here. What you can do, this is your reflector. If you take the end one and you push it in and then just push it down, see that? Your reflector pops right out. So as you can see, you hook in the one side, the middle is just a tab that doesn't even really do all that much, and then the end one is your release clip. So in preparation for the new diffuser, I did take this one off now, and I'm just gonna go back and take that other one off just to make sure it's as easy as possible. All right, one last clip. And there we have it, the BMW OEM diffuser. It looks nice, it's just a flat, but the one that we're putting on is the M Performance style, so it's much more aggressive, and it's going to add a lot of style points to this car. So here's a comparison of the OEM diffuser with the M Performance style. So you can see this looks incredible. All right, same process as before. You will see that we have these clips here. All right, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to clip it in here, make sure that our corner sits good. Go across here, make sure our corner sits good, and then we'll start doing some more. Just very carefully insert this in here. And then it's very handy if you start to line the other ones up, but if you have some kind of tool, obviously I'm not hitting anything with this, but I'm just going to use this to press from the back, and you'll hear it snap into place. So that is locked, that is our anchor point. All right, then just continue to line all of the clips up. Then what you can start to do is just go through, clip them in. As you work your way over, make sure that you're lining up the next clip that has to go into place. And I'm using a rubber mallet just because it's a nice soft surface. Don't hit your bumper with a rubber mallet. That would be called a bad day. Okay, all right, just continue to work your way around the bumper. 2 more. All right, now what you can do is you can take one of those little 8mm screws, and then what you do is you just pivot it up there. Okay, just like that. Then you do the exact same thing to the other side. Now it's designed to fit really nice, so that being said, sometimes what you have to do is put the screw up a little bit, give a little twist, get it in place, and then lock it down. All right, so at this point we have all of these clips securely locked into place, and then we also have it fastened with the 2 8mm bolts on each side. Now sometimes with aftermarket diffusers and even BMW factory OEM diffusers, as we saw when we took the original diffuser off, sometimes the end clips here don't grab as well as you'd like. As you'll find on some of these diffusers, even as we saw on the factory OEM diffuser, it wasn't a good grab. However, you have all of these clips holding in the top, then you have these 8mm screws that hold it in the bottom. So here's a close-up of what I mean. You can see that that's nice and tight. Where this one, you'd slide a piece of paper in there. But again, everything is nice and rock solid, and we should be good to go. So as you can see, the new diffuser looks absolutely incredible. What we're going to do now is we are going to replace these reflectors while we're here. Again, they slide in, they clip, and they clip. So slide in, clip, and clip. And on the other side, slide in, clip, and clip. Right now the diffuser is fully installed on the bumper. We're going to bring it over, plug in the PDC. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put it up. Then we're going to make sure that these clips are lined up over here and on the other side. And then we're going to get that 10mm bolt or screw, whatever you want to call it. We're going to put them in. Then we can work our way around the car and secure all the rest of the bolts. All right, all of our PDC sensors are connected, and we're ready to put the bumper on. All right, so what you want to do is take this part right here where the corner is. You want to do your best to line that up on both sides. Okay, and then what you can do is grab these clips here and just sort of press them into place. Do the same on the other side. Start to line those up. I'm going to slide this in here and clip these in place. Then what you can do is you can get that funny bolt screw thing. You can just start to hand twist this in for now, just to make sure that nothing's gonna fall off. We can do that exact same thing to the other side of the car. So that's clipped in really nice. We'll take that other bolt screw, twist that in. Again, you don't want to make it too tight at this point. Now what you can do is just very carefully start to slide your bumper back up. Make sure that these clips are in place. And then what you can do is you can start to, I start from the rear and work my way forward. But before you clip it in place, do the exact same alignment process to the other side. All right, here we are on the other side of the car. What helps is don't just grab from here and try to pull up. First make sure that you're aligned in here because that's really gonna be a big component. And then next, use the leverage that the bumper gives you. So just grab lower parts of the bumper and just gently guide everything in place. Now, since the other one has the first clip clipped in, what you can do is just lift this up and just slide it in. Then you can just go through very carefully and clip everything in place. I leave my tape on here until the very end. So make sure that everything is clipped in good. You may need to slide it around a little bit, but this side looks good, so let's press in the other side, then we'll put some screws back in. All right, now that both sides of the car look like this, what you need to do is look in this slot here, don't just push. You wanna make sure that your clips are properly aligned. Again, make sure that everything is aligned here, make sure everything is aligned here. And then in a minute, what we're going to do is we're going to go under the car and make sure everything is aligned there. So we'll put our 3 T20s back in. Okay. All right, now what we can do, again, make sure that these are all nice and snug with the clips. And we can tighten down the bumper with these 10mm bolts. One thing that I like to do is I like to look for the indentation in the paint of where it was originally sealed, and what you do is you shoot to line the head of the bolt or the screw up with that, and that's going to make sure everything is in perfect alignment. All right, now what we can do is we can put that T20 back in at the top, then replace the 2 8mm screws, and once you're done on this side, do it on the other side too. Now when you're reinstalling the sides of your bumper, you have to make sure that your bumper here is over where the screw needs to go. So there's the underpiece, then there's your bumper, and then there's the carpet. Then your screw goes on top of that. Otherwise, your screw isn't going to hold anything in. Once you're finished with this side, do the same with the other side. All right, at this point, go under the car and put all of those 8mm screws back in. All right, at this point, if you haven't done so already, you can very carefully remove your painter's tape. All right, the last step of the process is take your taillights, plug them in, wrap the cord through that little loop right there. Then what we're going to do is take this little ball right here, and it's going to line up with this grommet. So line up your screws over here, your bolts. And if you look in here, you can see where the ball is. Slide it in just like that. Then take those 10mm nuts we removed earlier, put them on here. Then you're going to want to take that cover that we removed earlier. It has these 2 little pins at the bottom. So just get it under your weather stripping, slide it down, make sure it sits flush. And then this pin that we had to remove before, just push it in and it'll be nice and secure. And we're done. Again, this is Brian. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. As always, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. And if you are interested in making your car look amazing, ProAutomotion.com has diffusers, they have front grills, they have front lips, they have carbon fiber, they have spoilers, M Sport conversions, you name it, they probably have as far as aesthetics and styling is concerned. So be sure to check out ProAutomotion.com. Use code KIES10OFF to save 10% off your order. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.